Sheila is on the line.
Sheila is on the line. That's good now.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Sheila.
thank you very much. I do apologize for this fault. Now, if we can start the interview right from the beginning. Dr. Miguna, I do apologize for this technical fault, but we're ready to begin now. Thank you very much, Dr. Miguna, for being with us today here at Kdrtv in conjunction with the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora. How are you today?
I'm all right.
Thank you. We did watch your interview earlier on when you arrived at the airport in Canada a few days ago, and you were tired then. Are you well rested now?
I'm able to do your interview.
Thank you very much. We are indeed honored for you to be here with us today here. So thank you very much for that. Before I begin the interview, I had a message that I was given by many people to pass across to you. It's a message that I was made to promise that it would reach you. So I'm going to give you that message now before we continue. The message was this, that I should tell you you're a hero to the people in Kenya. You're a true patriot, you're truly patriotic, and they're waiting to welcome you back home, to give you a heroic welcome back home for all the great things you're doing for our country. Can you confirm receipt of this message, Dr. Miguna?
I've received it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We do indeed. I think you're very popular, and that's the message that I got across when we were telling people we're going to have an interview with you tonight. One other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce some of the people that are with me today here, supporting me in this interview at the same time, just letting you know that we've got a huge following that are listening in. I would like to call on to them to welcome you to this session today. And I will start by calling on to Ken Kaunda Joe from Finland. Ken, if you can hear me, could you just greet Dr. Miguna and welcome him to the show?
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you, Ken. And now I would like to call on to Kenneth Jobando from Indianapolis to welcome Dr. Miguna to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jobando, for that. We now go all the way to Kenya. We've got Mary Nasike, who's tuning in from Kenya, and she would like to welcome you, Dr. Miguna, to the show. Mary, hear me. Could you just say something to Dr. Miguna?
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary, for welcoming Dr. Miguna to the show. We now have Robert Achupa from Texas. Robert Achupa from Texas, could you please welcome Dr. Miguna to the show?
Hello, Dr. Miguna. This is Robert. And I would just like you to know that Kenyans have lots of hope, and you rejuvenated a lot of things based on whatever you've undergone and all that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Achupa from Texas. We had on the line Zach Odinga from Ireland. I'm not sure if he's still on the line. Zach, can you hear me? Zach, if you can hear me, could you kindly say hello to Dr. Miguna? Okay, I suppose Zach is not online at the moment. We also had Dave Mumbo calling all the way from Mombasa in Kenya. Dave, if you can hear me, can you welcome Dr. Miguna to the show? Okay, in the event that it looks like Dave is not online anymore, so I would want to welcome Ben Kebuato. Ben, could you welcome Dr. Miguna to the show? Then we can move on to the questions.
Yeah, Dr. Miguna, once again, welcome. We are ready to hear what you are going to tell Kenyans. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, my panelists, for that. Dr. Miguna, we have a lot of listeners today tuning in to this show. And as I said, we're quite honored to have you here today. And I'm going to the breadth of the interview. The first thing that when I asked for questions from people, we did tell them that we are having an interview with you today. And I did ask them to send questions. And one thing that they wanted to know more than anything else is what happened during those 5 days you were taken and arrested. There's lots of stories, lots of rumors that were going on, and so many untruths that were there on social media. In fact, several of them were saying that you're dead and you're covered in a Maasai sheet and all that. So there's that gap in terms of what exactly happened. So if you could take us through that journey and tell us exactly what happened from the beginning when they stormed into your house. Your floor, Dr. Miguna.
Okay, thank you. Although I don't think that there are things I will not go over because they are obvious and also they are still raw. But I will give you enough information so that there are no doubts as to what happened.
Thank you.
I had planned to speak with one of the NRM supporters at 6 o'clock on the 2nd of February. So I was basically awake but not out of bed when I had some commotion, a bit of noise at my gate. My gate is a bit far away from where my bedroom is, so I was not sure whether it was at my neighbor's gate or at my gate. And shortly thereafter, I had a huge explosion at the front of my house. And I didn't know whether it came from the front of the house, but I had as if it was an explosion within the house and thought it was an electrical problem. And if it was an electrical problem, the only thing you do, and I'm well aware, is to get out of the house or get to the control panel and turn everything off. That would have required that I ran towards where the thing happened. But before I could do that, because I wanted to be sure, and given the fact that I had been expecting attacks from hired assassins or police squads or whatever. So it's not like this happened when I was expecting nothing. I had been expecting something, and different groups of people had been sent to my home to basically. I was very cautious. I kept completely quiet. Immediately the explosion happened, and it was a heavy explosion. Who is on with me? And I started, the NRM youth to come to my home and letting the media know that something is happening, we should come. So these guys ran all over the house. Initially, I thought they would come directly to where I was, but it seemed like if they didn't know where I was. I live in a 5-bedroom house, so it's not very, and there are other rooms, so it's not very easy for someone who has not been there to know exactly where my bedroom is or to know where I would be. And speaking with them later, I got to know that when they got to the compound, they were not sure I was inside the house because of the way my vehicle was parked outside. I had not that day parked my vehicle into the garage. I left it at an angle on the driveway because I had had somebody wash it outside there, and because it was done late, I left the car outside. So they were wondering whether I was inside or outside. And that explains why when they exploded what a friend of mine familiar with military things told me that what they exploded was a military device. It's not used by the police. And they destroyed the front entrance with the powder room which is next to it. They shattered the window of the powder room completely. They shattered the door of the powder room completely. They shattered the toilet completely. So the entire frontage of the house, the main entrance and the toilet or the washroom next to it, the two places were completely shattered. Now, I stayed put. They were opening doors and breaking some of them that had been locked. And they did that for close to 1 hour. The only door they did not break were my study room and the bedroom where I was, for whatever reason. So by the time they broke my door, it was 2 hours after, and a large crowd had already gathered outside my home. It was now about 7 something. And remember, they came to my house at about 5 something before it was 6 in the morning. There was no shouting of police. There was no shouting of my name. There was no word uttered. They never spoke. They never ever spoke. And there were more than 34. And they came with many vehicles. And how they had entrance into my home is that I think some of them jumped over the fence and the gate. Then they cut the padlock onto the main gate so that nobody would be able to hear them knock down the gate. But my neighbors had them and started making noise. I never made noise. And at some point, after about 1 hour and 45 minutes, 5 of them broke the door to my bedroom and jumped in with guns. 3 of them had assault rifles and 2 of them had pistols. When they jumped into the room where I was, and my bedroom is fairly large, I was standing. I'd already fully dressed. I was still on my phone. I just turned and glanced at them as I continued to type. And they said, Mheshimiwa, meaning the Honorable. I said, yes. You are here? I said, yes, I'm here. Then they left. All of them left the room. Then after about 1 minute, they all came and said, we have to go. So obviously, I left with them. They then one of them went downstairs and brought a pair of shoes because they said there was glass all over and I couldn't walk through the glass. So I got out, they put me in a vehicle, and they drove me in a convoy of vehicles at high speed. And when they reached my compound, well, my estate where I live, it's a gated estate, so we have specific gates out of the estate. We have basically 3 exits. One where the United States Embassy and United Nations officers are. The other one is the main one on Limuru Road, and then the third one is on Kiambu Road. So they took the Kiambu exit. And when they reached, immediately they exited the gate, they turned left, not to go to Nairobi, but to go towards Kiambu. Now, my estate is in Nairobi. So I became concerned because I live in Nairobi and it's their police, and they did not say their police. They should have taken me either to Runda police station, Igiri police station, or or the police station on Kiambu Road, the headquarters for the criminal investigations. But they didn't do that. So I knew there was something amiss. So I took my phone. At this time, they had not said anything. They just put me in the vehicle and sandwiched me in between, and they are driving. They did not handcuff me. They did not say anything. So they are going at very high speed. I take out my phone and I'm trying to now call someone to say where they're taking me. And they grabbed the phone out of my hands and they continued driving. They went up to the Kiambu police station and immediately they parked. I don't know if that was a police officer or just a civilian. Came towards the vehicle, saw me, and immediately got onto the phone to say to somebody, "Your friend is here." So after that, they stayed there for about 35 minutes. They did not check me in. They drove off. They took a direction that led towards Gidunguri. And because I went to school in Central Province, I know Central Province very well. So I asked them, "Why are you taking me to Gidunguri?" And at that point, they said, "Look, we can blindfold you if you think you know Central Province very well." Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. I'm
Hello?
listening.
Yes, anyway.
Hello, I can hear you, Dr. Miguna.
Yeah, they drove and eventually reached the Dunguri police station. They went in. They kept on running around. Eventually, they came and took me and put me in a cell. And the guys who brought me, who now I understand as flying squad, they completed the OB, which is the occurrence book themselves. They did not ask me to sign. I don't know what they put there. They took my personal effects, took my belt, took my shoes, took everything else, and left me. I stayed there for a whole, and then in the evening, they took me out, and I saw a group of friends who were lawyers and members of the NRM outside, and the press. So I thought I was getting released. And then, of course, one of the lawyers came to speak to me and told me that they had already obtained an order and paid the bail or bond for my release. So I was released. I thought, well, I'm getting released. They then took me to an office, took my fingerprints, and pretended like they are releasing me. As this was going on, I think a group of Jubilee politicians started organizing people to start making noise around the police station, saying I should be released to them so that they can lynch me. I was not really frightened or anything because, I mean, I'm used to this kind of commotion. That went on for a while. They finished the fingerprinting. They wrote some statements. They wanted me to sign. I refused to sign. They wrote at least 3 sets of those kind of statements. Then they said, well, it is late now. They can't release me because the crowd outside is becoming very violent, so they keep me in. They made it look to my lawyers like they were keeping me in for my own safety. My lawyers then left to go buy me food and then bought me a mattress and a blanket, which I was never given. At 10:30 p.m. that day, the same people that had abducted me from home took me away and drove again at very high speed into the night towards the direction I did not know. And then eventually I saw that we were at Land Police Station. So they booked me in there, and I believe that is the worst place I've ever been in my life. It was the filthiest, it was the harshest, it was the coldest, and they were very cruel. Unlike at the police station where at least I had been given some plastic chair to sit on, here I was denied a chair to sit on, I was denied a blanket, I was denied a mattress, I was denied food, I was locked into a room and denied access to a toilet. And yes, there were times that I had to leave myself inside my own room because there was nowhere I could go anywhere. And there is no toilet paper. And so it is amazing that people thought I looked neat. It was only because I was dressed in a dark suit, but it was completely filthy and I was thinking. Anyway, they kept me there for 4 days. And then, of course, I kept on demanding that I wanted to see a doctor because I was always getting pneumonia. I was shaking, and I wanted to see a doctor because I was shaking. The rumors that I got asthma attack is wrong. I've never been asthmatic, and I did not get an asthma attack. But I think that my lawyers wanted to find a way of getting to me. So they came up with the asthma attack because there's a police officer there that advised them that I was there and told them that I was not well. So whether he used the word asthma, I don't know, but I was sick. So they did not allow my lawyers, anybody to see me. I constantly demanded access to lawyers, access to doctors, access to my family, and of course, I never got. So eventually, on the day that they took me away from there, they made it look like they were going to put me in a specific vehicle with a siren, which they brought all the way to the front of the police station. Meanwhile, they put two others at the back, and they put me at the back at the press, and my team and lawyers and whatnot were waiting in the front. So when this vehicle started moving, the press followed the wrong vehicle. They followed the one with the siren, and I was in the vehicle without a siren. So they did that deliberately. They drove me all the way to Nairobi, but through the bypass that passes through. They went through the bypass that passes through Rwanda, which is closest to my home. So at first, when they were heading towards that direction, I kept hoping that they are taking me back home. But they passed. And then they headed towards a place that looked like they are going towards the airport. Then I wondered if they are deporting me. And then when they reached at a certain spot, they turned onto Mombasa Road, heading back to town. Then they reached a place in Embakasi East, industrial area, inland center depot. There is a police station inside there. They took me there for one night, and that is the best police station I've been to. At least there was water. I was able to go to the toilet. I was given food. I was, a police officer there bought me a toothbrush and a toothpaste, so I was able to brush my teeth for the first time. And I was told that the following day we are going to court. So I thought we were going to court the following day. When the day arrived, again they bundled me into their vehicles and started driving at very high speed. But instead of going towards town, which is where the Milimani court is, they took Mombasa Road and started driving towards Mombasa. And I wondered where they are taking me. Remember, the lawyer called Kimani was killed on that route, on that stretch. I wasn't really that bothered because I long resolved in my head that, I mean, if somebody wants to kill you, they will kill you. So it doesn't matter what you do. I never really thought much about it. I did not complain that they wanted to kill me or anything. I was ready to die anyway. So they kept driving up to a place called Ati River. Then they branched. Then they started driving towards Namanga. I've never been to Namanga on that route, but you can see the signs on the road. And because I was not blindfolded, I could see the signs very well. So I wondered why they're taking me to Mombasa. No, to Namanga. Anyway, they kept going until they reached Kajiado, then they made several turns. Eventually, they ended up at the magistrate's court. They kept me waiting in the compound there for 3 hours, and eventually they took me to a cell with others. Then eventually they removed me from that cell and put me in a cell where I was alone. And the people in the cell said, well, I think they have taken you because they think you're going to use our phones. Anyway, because everybody else, they allowed to have phones, but me, they did not allow me to have a phone. They have taken my phones, and they never gave it back to me until when they were putting me into the plane. They gave it to me back when I was in the plane. So we went to court, and the proceedings ended up being that I should be returned to Nairobi, and the magistrate gave them 20 minutes to take me back. They took off like bullets, pursued by my lawyers. They made 5 U-turns on the highway so that they could shake my lawyers who were following them. That's when I realized these people are not taking me to court, because they were now wasting time on the road in Kajiado instead of driving towards Nairobi. By 4 o'clock, they were still just in Kajiado. And they had been ordered to take me to court by 3 o'clock. And they were not in a hurry to go. They were more concerned about my lawyers following them and taking pictures of the vehicle where I had been placed. To the extent that they pulled on the side of the road after they had shaken them off and moved me from that vehicle to another vehicle, because they said the one where I was had already been photographed, so those people knew the vehicle where I was. So they moved me.
Sorry, Dr. Miguna, you're setting up a little bit in the background.
What are you
Hello,
saying?
Dr. Miguna, you're setting up. I can hear you now. You are setting up, but I can hear you clearly now. Do continue, please.
Yeah, it has to be your system, because my phone is the same and I'm sitting in the same place where I was. I think it is just the system.
Okay.
Anyway, they followed Ngong and eventually got into the southern bypass onto Mombasa Road and drove backwards, not towards the courthouse where I was supposed to be taken. They took me back to the police station, the so-called inland container depot, where I had spent the night before. And when we arrived there, they kept me outside. Then a man came to me and identified himself as Kamau. He said he was from immigration. He asked for my passport. I gave him the Kenyan passport. He asked for another one. I told him, well, that is your property. This, whatever else I have is not yours. He went away. Then they retreated. They were talking. They were walking around, up and down. They seemed to be happy. They seemed to be thumping their fists into the air. But I was still in this vehicle. The OCS, the officer commanding police station, came and asked me what I needed to eat. I told her. Then she also asked if I needed a pair of slippers. I said yes. She left to go buy for me food and the slippers. She returned, gave me the pink slippers you saw me in, and told me I could go and take a shower. Before I could go in, they said they wanted to talk to me. The same police or the thugs that abducted me in the same number were there. But they had been joined by this gentleman who said that, well, I shouldn't call him a gentleman because he behaved like a thug. This thug who said that he was an immigration officer. And so I didn't know what the plan was. Nobody gave me notice of anything. Nobody told me what it is that we were waiting for. I was still standing in the car, sitting in the car. And then they took me outside. Then they said they wanted to speak to me in a room. And I told them that, why do you want to speak to me? It was ordered that you take me to court. I want to go to court. I don't want to speak to you. Well, they told me that I was not going to go to court. And they were going to speak to me. So I told them, well, look, I want to go to the toilet. So they told me I could go in. I went in. They followed me inside the toilet. That was the first time they followed me inside the toilet. I was going for a short call. I finished, came out. Then they took me to a courtyard behind and told me that I should give them my other passport. So I told them, look, whatever other passport I have is not a Kenya government property and you have no right to it. They said I had to give it to them. I refused. Then they held me by force. Then they took it from me. Then they left me there. As they were doing that, the lady brought food and told me I could eat. I went into the room to put the newspapers and whatever I had inside the room because I thought I was going to spend there. Came out to start to eat, and as I was just about to eat, before I could put one piece of ugali into my mouth, they said, we have to go. So one of them told me, well, you can carry the food if you want. I said, no. I don't want to give you satisfaction when you're killing me, that I'm carrying food, that I'm so desperate to eat as you're trying to kill me. So I left the food there and we left. So they drove on Mombasa Road, and at that point I knew they were deporting me because they were heading towards the airport now. So they didn't take the road towards Mombasa. They took the road towards the airport. And they entered the airport without getting touched. And they went inside, and I can see that they're buying a ticket. They went to KQ office. They came out with my boarding pass. I could see it. They were carrying it inside the passport. Then they went to the Kenya Airport Authority, senior officers there. And it was a team of more than 6 vehicles. This is 4x4 vehicles. Each vehicle had at least 5 heavily armed cars, plus me sandwiched in between. So it was a lot of people. The same head of the flying squad called Saeed Mohammed, who had come to my home with them, was still with them. So the lie that they handed me over to immigration is just that, a lie. They all went they drove into the runway with me, parked there, near where the Swiss Air, takes off or boards. Then we waited there for more than 3-4 hours. And then when KLM flight was about to leave, they took me to the side of the plane, pretending that I was a senior officer from the government, that they needed to board from the runway, like I was getting VIP treatment. But the reality is that they didn't want anybody else to see that I was getting put into the plane. I mean, they didn't want me to go through the normal process of boarding. So they took me to the plane. That's the first time they produced my phone. which they had clearly vandalized and was not working, could not receive and could not make calls out. So I blew up. I was very mad. I told them off. I was very mad. I spoke with them very harshly at that stage because the KLM crew were there. I knew there was nothing they could do. So the crew asked me if I wanted to fly or not. But looking at them, I said, well, I don't want to go back to them. So I would rather actually fly. Because at that stage, I don't know what they would do to me if I had to go back with them. If I told the KLM, crew that, these people are putting in this flight without my consent and I don't want to go. They said, we would not take you if you don't want to go. So I told them, yes, I will go. And then they left. And that's how I ended up here.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Miguna, for that story. It reads like a horror movie. I'm so sorry for the experience you went through, and it's such a travesty that you could go through such an experience in this day and age. But thank you very much for giving us that audience to put the story out there, and it has bust a lot of myths that were out there about exactly what happened, when, and where. Before I go to the next question, I would like to remind our listeners that this is Kdrtv Radio in conjunction with the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora, and our guest today is none other than Dr. Miguna Miguna, the General of the National Registered Movement of Kenya. Now, Dr. Miguna, you have mentioned that they did ask for your Kenyan passport, of which you gave to them. One thing that has been trending in the media ever since you were removed from Kenya or you were deported or exiled, there's lots of conversations around that, and we will talk about them later. One thing that has been trending has been about your Kenyan citizenship status. So I would like to ask you this. Are you a Kenyan citizen?
That's a very bad question.
It's an extremely horrible question, but...
No, it is a
Dr.
horrible
Miguna,
question. No, listen to me. I'm going to answer it, but I have to say it is a horrible question. And it is unfortunate that you can actually ask it. Of course, anybody who gets citizenship by birth cannot lose it. Mm-hmm. It's not just in Kenya. It's a universal rule. And everybody knows. There is nowhere in the world where a person who obtained citizenship by birth can lose it. You can't. There is nowhere else in the world where you can lose it. And you can't lose it in Kenya by law. It is enshrined in the Constitution that a Kenyan-born citizen cannot lose citizenship. It is written down in black and white in the Constitution. And it has never been different. There has never been any time that I've been alive when the Constitution stated that you could lose it. Now, let me tell you how one can lose a citizenship. If I had renounced my citizenship and said I do not want to be a Kenyan anymore, you would have decided yourself not to be a Kenyan. Not that somebody invalidated the citizenship. You would have yourself decided. I never did renounce my citizenship. There would have been no reason to do so, and I would never have done it. Why? Because Canada does not require renunciation of citizenship for you to get Canadian citizenship. It's not the law in Canada. There is nothing, there's no instrument called renunciation of citizenship in Canadian law. And I've practiced law here for 23 years. And I've also practiced immigration law. There is no such thing. And so when people say I renounce my citizenship. Number one, they have made a lot of falsehoods. Ask them the question, because the person who makes the claim must prove it. Show us the renunciation instrument. Show us the document Mr. Miguna signed that he uttered. Show us. They can't show it to you because it does not exist. But that is why I am angry with the media, because they should have been asking that question. Show us evidence of renunciation. They have not shown, and the media has never asked them the question. 2, show us the law. Show us where it is written that he could lose his citizenship by being naturalized in another country. Show us. The media has not asked that question, and the government has not said where that law is. Show us where in the Canadian law it says that once one acquires Canadian citizenship, they must renounce their citizenship, the previous citizenship. Again, there is nothing there. And then finally, then they say, I had applied for a passport in 1987 to go to Cuba to a conference, and it was denied. False. In 1987, November, I was invited with 3 other University of Nairobi student leaders to go to a conference in Havana, Cuba. We were invited by the International Union of Students, then based in Sofia, Bulgaria. But the conference was taking place in Havana, Cuba. We went and applied for the passports. I was given a Kenyan passport, but they withdrew it days before we traveled. So when I left Kenya, of course, I did not have a passport. But there is nothing in law saying that you cannot travel if you don't have a passport. A passport does not vest citizenship. It is a travel document. So I traveled on a United Nations travel document from Africa to Canada, legitimately. And when I arrived in Canada, of course, I eventually got my citizenship and got Canadian passport, legitimately. When I returned to Kenya, I then applied for a Kenyan passport. I went into an immigration office, got forms, completed them, had them witnessed, paid, submitted the application. It was processed in the normal course, and the passport was given by the Kenyan government. So when they are saying, oh, my passport was issued fraudulently, was I the one who issued the passport to myself? No. Did I influence anybody to do it? No. So what do they mean by fraudulently? Fraudulently by who? They are now blaming a minister of immigration to have issued a passport fraudulently. So between these unions making the statement and a minister of immigration, which one has the authority to order that a passport should be issued? You see, it's just nonsense. But not just that. This is a passport I have held since 2009, and I've traveled on it every single time, including in November when I came to Canada and went back to Kenya. It is what I entered Kenyan with. They have always seen it. How long would it take you to find out whether this passport is legitimate or not when this man has traveled on it consistently? When I was working for the Kenyan government as the senior most advisor to the Prime Minister, this is the passport I traveled on, even to Canada. Because I was now working as a senior most officer of government, even the Canadian government gives me visas on that passport. So if you open that passport, you will find visas to all over, even to China, to the United States, to Canada, to everywhere. So they have had it for a long time. Moreover, in 2012, I reapplied for my kipande, the national identity card, because I had lost mine and applied for a national identity card. They issued me with a national identity card in 2012, 2 years after the promulgation of the new constitution. So they are saying, okay, so assuming that I had lost, theoretically, which is not true, why didn't they deny me the national identity card, which is the only proof of citizenship, in 2012, if I had lost my citizenship? But they granted that, and they issued me with a new ID, which I have. So the claims they have been making are not just childish. They are an abhorrent, immoral statement being made by 15th century primitive people that should not be holding any position in government.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Miguna, for that elaborate answer. I'm sorry for asking that question, but it's a question that has been asked, and it is very annoying. You did run for a governor position in Nairobi, and you couldn't have done that if you were not a Kenyan. But up to today in the morning in the media, they were still talking about your citizenship in Kenya, which, as you say, is quite an abhorrent thing to even discuss. Now having established that you are indeed a Kenyan citizen, there is a word round that this was not a deportation. Instead, it was an exile, that you've been sent to exile. What's your response to that, Dr. Miguna?
I really don't care what they call it. Whatever they call it, it's not a legal exercise of power. It's an abuse of power. What they did is not a legal constitutional process. Let me explain to you, because I know immigration law very well. I know how deportation happens. I've represented people, multiples of people in deportation processes. What happens for a legitimate deportation to happen is this: assuming that I was actually a non-Kenyan and that I had been declared unwanted for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. They would give you a legal notice. It would be an original signed document by the minister responsible. It would be served on you. It will give you an opportunity to respond. Now, you would exercise that right or not exercise that right to respond. If you choose to respond, you will be entitled to legal counsel of your choice. So you respond with the legal counsel like I demanded, I needed. Then they will take you to an objective, neutral, judicial forum presided over by a neutral person who will then listen to the allegations being made by the representative of the minister, then listen to your response to the allegations, then make a determination whether or not you should be deported. That's a legal process. The determination is not made by the minister to deport you. It will be made by a tribunal, a court process. It will be an order or a judgment. And it will either validate what the minister intended to do, or it will invalidate it. So it's not just somebody waking up one day and saying, you know what, this guy must leave the country. That power does not belong to the minister. The minister can only make an allegation against you, and you are allowed by law to respond. Then somebody else makes that determination. That did not happen in my case. There was no process. The only process that was there was the abduction that they now wanted to cleanse through an illegitimate charge. So they took me to court. I did not plead to the charge. The magistrate ordered, after there were several other orders, that I should be taken to the Milimani court. I had already been ordered released. I had already paid bail. Then there was an habeas corpus application made for my body to be produced, which was defied. Then there was a contempt of court order that had been issued against the people who had abducted me. So those were the processes, the legal processes happening. Did they obey those processes? Did they obey those court orders? No. And I asked them, if you guys say that you're police officers, which order is more important? A directive from your senior or a court order? As a police officer, when you are trained to obey court orders more than any other thing. Court orders are superior to the president's directive. I told them, but they told me they are acting on instructions from above. So there was no legal process. This was not a deportation. It could have been an exile, because exile would be an act of my action. I'm the one who goes into exile, not somebody else taking me into exile. Exile entails that I am running away from my state. But I was not running away. I didn't want to leave Kenya. So how can anybody forcefully take me from my own home, from my own country, bundle me into a plane where I don't even have my driver's license, I don't have my ATM card, I don't have anything, and just put me on a plane and say, you go? What right? What right do they have? This is what the British used to do when they treated Africans like slaves. When they just decided, because somebody was opposing the British rule, they would take them to an island somewhere and exile them, or take them to India, or take them to Zanzibar. They did that, right? But
Yes.
this is supposed to be a democratic country ruled governed by the rule of law in the 21st century. They should never be allowed to do that.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Miguna. Of course, that they should never have been allowed to do that at all, and it does put a very bad image for us as a democratic country to have such occurrences in this day and age. Now, my other question to you is, for all these things that have happened to you, they have vandalized your house, they have committed so many atrocities against you, they have abducted you, they've done this. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do as a form of recourse to justice, and against whom?
I am taking legal action. The first legal action has already commenced in Nairobi on Friday. It is a petition so that I get an order revoking the unlawful order that I am not a Kenyan and I am deported to Canada. Those decisions, administrative decisions, have to be invalidated and reversed by the court. I also have applied for them to either give me back my passport or reinstate the passport if they have cancelled it. And then I will be initiating various claims or suits that will be seeking orders compensating me for the violations that they have done, including destroying or vandalizing my home, abducting me, detaining me incommunicado for 5 days, subjecting me to cruel and inhuman treatment, and including the deportation. And I can tell you, they will not win. Just like I told them when they were trying to charge me, that you can charge me with 1 million, you can make 1 million allegations against me, and you can fill as many charge sheets as you want. But one thing I can tell you, you will not win. I told them, you will not win. And they didn't win. I mean, just in the 5 days, I got more than 7 orders. And they did not win even at the magistrate's court in Kajiado, where they thought that their numbers, because they filled the court with arms, they thought that they would intimidate the magistrate to give them an order. The magistrate refused and told them, what you're doing is perpetuating impunity and trying to bring this country into chaos. We cannot allow a situation where government functionaries disobey court orders. That's what they were told.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Miguna. We do wish you the very best with recourse to justice. Indeed, so many wrongs have been committed, and a very, very dangerous precedent has been set, which needs to be condemned in the highest voice possible. Now, one question that I would like to know is, when you are going through all this ordeal, as traumatic as it was, did you ever entertain thoughts of giving up on the struggle, kind of feeling it was too heavy a cross to bear, or you are taking it all in stride?
Never crossed my mind. It never crossed my mind.
Thank you.
You see, when you are in this struggle, you have to be prepared to die. You have to be prepared to go to jail. You have to be prepared to go into exile. That's why we are in the struggle.
Thank you very much for that answer, and I hope the listeners that are tuned in today, I hope you took that message that when you are prepared to do things for your country, you should be ready for anything, including death. Just to remind you that this is Kdrtv in conjunction with the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora, and today in the house we are hosting none other than the man of the hour, Dr. Miguna Miguna, who has given us this pleasure of being with us today. Dr. Miguna, there were some rumors and lots of words in the grapevine about the NRM principals falling out with each other, and some of them kind of getting a bit intimidated with you being a rising star in the movement. One such message was that they were in cahoots with JUBILEE and that they were behind this arrest and the subsequent deportation of you. How would you respond to that?
I can't respond to rumors and hypotheticals with no foundation in fact, because who are the NRM principles? NRM is a movement. It does not have principles, unless you're talking of NASA. So there is no NRM principles, and they do not control the state. So how would they be able to abduct me, detain me, and deport me? It's different from saying, would some people be happy that you're out of the way? That's a different question altogether. And of course, there are people who would be happy because somebody is even dead. Even if that person's death does not necessarily get them anything. But for whatever reason, in a twisted way, feeling envious for whatever the person is doing. I've not stopped anybody from doing anything. And what I did is suffer. So if they want to suffer, that's fine. They can join me in the struggle. But these guys want to have things without suffering. They don't want to struggle. They want everything on a silver platter. They want power on a silver platter. They want wealth on a silver platter. They want privilege on a silver platter. And then when somebody has fought and even suffered for it, and there is just an appreciation of what they have done, then they want to kill you. That's up to them. I'm not saying that the so-called principals did that, because I don't know who those people are, and I don't know what they did or did not do, so I cannot comment on things I don't know.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miguna. My last question to you, and then I would invite my colleague to ask just a few questions on NRM. For me, I'm focusing on your ordeal more because I feel your story needs to be up there. The question here is that the Canadian, there were stories on the internet, I don't know the truth to them, but you can tell us if it is true indeed, but the Canadian government did intervene, and that is why no harm came unto you, and that's why we can even talk to you now. Is that true that the Canadian government did intervene? And if it did intervene, what was the nature of this intervention?
I think it is now public record that they intervened. I mean, they approached, they called the responsible people in government, inquiring as to my whereabouts. They wanted to give me consular service, which is basically seeing you and trying to see what it is that you need. If you need a lawyer, if you need medical attention, That's what consular services say. They were denied access to me. They were denied information about me. It is in the public domain that they sent representatives to the Lari police station. In fact, I think the head of consular services was a former classmate of mine in law school. At least she told my wife that. She knows me personally. So she went there personally to look for me. She knows who I am. And she was told I was not there. So they wrote a letter of protest at the way that I was being treated, and I think they wrote on the 2nd, or was it the 2nd or the 5th? The 5th of February. So that's the nature of their intervention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miguna, for the clarification there. And just like to remind the listeners that we are hosting Dr. Miguna at the Kdrtv radio in association with the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora. Dr. Miguna, thank you very much for indulging me in answering those questions about what happened to you. We certainly have got a much clearer picture of what happened, and I do apologize for going through that ordeal. It's truly traumatic. I would like now to invite my colleague Kenneth Joe Kaunda from Finland to just ask a few questions about NRM movement. If you're the general, you can answer us questions about what is going on with NRM. Ken, if you can listen, if you can hear me, can you please respond to me and take over? Ken, are you there? Okay, as we wait for Ken, I will just start over with some of his questions as we wait for him because of time. Dr. Miguna,
Sheila, excuse
the
me,
NRM, you are
Excuse me,
the general for the National Resistance Movement. And part of the reason why this all happened to you is because you've come to the radar of the despot government, as you call it. And that's why they want to
Excuse me, Sheila. Ken is online. Ken is online, so you can let him continue. Ken is online.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm glad actually to hand over to Ken. Okay, Ken, please do take over. Dr. Miguna is ready for you.
Thank you, Sheila. I can hear you. Thank you, Dr. Miguna, for the elaborate story, and it's good to know the ordeal that you went through because there were a lot of rumors flying around. It's an honor, actually, to have you here today. I'm going to focus on the National Resistance Movement, which is the movement that you currently, we assume that currently did it because, of course, it's something that's been going on for a while, and you are the main figure there. So the swearing-in ceremony took place, and that's something that was anticipated by the supporters of NASA and now NRM. So the other principles did not show up, and this was a main bone of contention. So we would like to know from your perspective, why did they not show up? Maybe it would be good to clarify to the supporters.
I can't answer the question. I think you have to ask them the question. It's not fair to me. Why should I answer the question why Kalonzo did not show up? I'm not Kalonzo. He should be able to explain that himself.
Yeah, I understand, Dr. Miguna, but being a leader of this outfit,
I will not answer the question. I will not answer the question.
Okay.
I will not answer the question. Ask them the question. Yes.
I would go into the next question. So right now the ceremony happened, and the supporters would like to know what's the next step for NRM.
I don't understand. What do you mean the next step?
Of course, we wanted the swearing-in to happen. Raila Odinga was sworn in, and the movement is on. We definitely need to have a strategy.
Yeah.
The supporters definitely need to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, you see, we don't discuss our strategies in public. That would be irresponsible. Nobody does. If you're fighting a government, you don't tell the government what you intend to do. So we don't discuss our strategies in public. We don't discuss our tactics in public. We just do what we have to do. So all that people need to know is that we are in this for the long haul. We intend to fight until we defeat these despots. That they can take to the bank. As to how we are going to do it, we'll unveil when and if that becomes necessary. I already said, I can hear a lot of people talking, so I don't know if that is part of this conversation. Anyway, I had said that it's quite distracting, so I don't like that. I had said that we were going to start banning Uhuru Kenyatta's portrait. So that's something we are going to do. We are going to distribute Raila Odinga's portrait. We are going to engage in direct popular action against the government. That's all I can say for now. Beyond that, we believe in action. We don't believe in threats. We don't believe in talk. NRM is very different from NASA. It is the NASA guys who talk about this or that, and they call press conferences to say that what they plan. As you can see, I never addressed a press conference, not even once, to say about anything about the swearing in. But I'm the one who swore Raila in. But you did not see me announcing it. I just went there and I did it, and then I got out of there. But there were other people who kept on calling press conferences to tell you how it is going to happen. On that day, you did not see them do anything. So that's not my style.
It's good actually to get a proper layout of the NRM after the swearing-in ceremony. So thank you for that. I would like to know, now that you are in Canada, you are away from Kenya, and you've been the main figure in NRM. Can you still run the activities of NRM from Canada, or what's the plan? Because you have been the main figure. Most people look up to you.
When Nelson Mandela was jailed in 1964, he was a member of the Uhuruto Wezwize, an armed wing of the ANC, 1964. Remember?
Yes.
Nelson Mandela stayed in jail for 27 years. Did being in Robben Island for 27 years stop him being a leader of the ANC? Of course not. 27 years. He remained the leader of the ANC in Robben Island. Who took over from him? Oliver Tambo. Where did Oliver Tambo live? London. The struggle was in South Africa. Did it stop Oliver Tambo from effectively leading the ANC? No. Did the ANC eventually achieve independence for South Africa? Yes. So you see your answer.
I've got my answer.
Did you get my answer? No. I think if you can't get the answer, there is nothing else I can say. I've answered you.
I got your answer, Dr. Miguna Miguna. I believe you quite clear on that. So the treason charges are against you right now in Kenya. Do they hold any waters according to you?
Pardon?
The treason charges against you. You administered the oath for Raila Odinga during the swearing-in ceremony, and there are treason charges against you. You believe they hold waters?
You know, I can't hear you. I don't know what's happening with your line. You're not clear.
I can hear you quite clearly.
I don't hear. I didn't get the question.
For Raila Odinga, there were treason charges against you. Do you believe that they hold water?
Were they?
How do you think they will
No, but were they? Were they? I didn't see any treason charges against me. I've not been charged in Kenya. I've not been charged with anything. And in fact, the High Court now says they cannot even charge me. So I don't know what you're talking about. You see, it's one thing for somebody to talk. Oh, we are going to charge. Oh, we have a charge. The fact is, there is no charge before a court of law against me in Kenya. None. There is not even a traffic offense violation charge. So the propaganda remains just that. I've not been charged in Kenya. They refused to go to court so that they could charge me. You understand my point? They said they wanted to charge me, but they did not. When the court told them come and charge him, they chickened out and they took me to the airport. They didn't charge me.
To call for elections again. Why would he call for an election after being sworn in?
Why would you call for elections after being sworn in? Elections happen all over the world after people are sworn in. There have been elections in Greece, say 4 times in 5 years. There have been elections in Israel when there is somebody in power, 5 times in 4 years. There have been elections all over the world. After being sworn in does not mean people don't go for elections. Raila is sworn in as the people's president so that there is a constitutional and political crisis that has to be resolved. Now that we have 2 presidents, and Kenya being one country, the only way that you can have Kenya governed by one person is to have a credible election from which one person now gets the mandate of the people to govern. Uhuru Kenyatta does not have that mandate. Raila Odinga would not have the mandate of Uhuru Kenyatta's supporters because those supporters only recognize Uhuru Kenyatta. We understand that. To bring that conflict to an end, you must have elections. You must have credible elections. The only difference that I have with him is that 6 months is too long. I want elections next month. I want them in 2 months. We don't need 6 months to hold elections. Here in Canada, elections are routinely held within 30 days.
Yes.
So are elections in Britain. You don't need 6 months to hold elections.
Yes. I would like to ask a question just stemming from what you have said, that you would like to see elections next month. One of the major reasons why the elections Raila did not participate in the last election was because of electoral reforms that were not carried out. So how would that happen in maybe a month or so without proper electoral reforms?
Yeah, but what is electoral reform? How long does it take to have electoral reform? You see, when people talk, they have to think about what they are saying. If today, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta agree that there are going to be elections, and they agree that both of them are not going to be the ones in charge of the electoral infrastructure and the electoral process, then you have an interim system where a neutral body, neutral people of integrity, take charge of the process until the end. That can be done in weeks. Now you can replace, because the main thing with election is that you have to have human beings that are not going to be compromised, that are not going to be used to rig or to subvert the legitimacy of the electoral process. And those people are respected, they are Kenyans. And you can put an ad and select them in 2 weeks. And these people can be able to run an election without any problem. That is what we need. Reform simply means we have infrastructure and personnel that will not be compromised, that will not be tainted, that will not tamper with the electoral process and results. And you can have that in weeks. That's what we want. So that the people running elections have no interest on the outcome. They have not been influenced. They have not been paid. They have not been promised anything. And it doesn't matter who wins. That's what we want.
I understand you, Dr. Miguna, but I just to continue on this, I believe that to deal with the reality that Kenya, these people in government, as you call them, the despot leaders. Do you believe that it's possible to really have individuals who will not be tainted by the same government who hold the instruments of power, and that this can happen as fast as you want it.
I don't know why you think that it is not possible. Are Kenyans aliens? Are they not human beings just like human beings in Canada? And I don't know what country you are from. So let's say you are from the Nordic country. Don't they hold elections there and there are human beings there who do those elections without being compromised? Those people went to the same schools. Those people have the same DNA as Kenyans. Those people have the same brains as Kenyans. Kenya is not bereft of people of integrity to run elections. The problem with Kenya is elites choose the most compromised individuals to be in positions of power. And because they have done it so often, now you think everybody is tainted. The majority of Kenyans are not tainted. It is just the few people that they select that are tainted. How come the same Kenyans, when they go to Botswana, they are not corrupt? When they come here to work, they are not corrupt. When they go to the UN to work, they are not corrupt. But when they are working in Kenya, they are corrupt. The same people.
Yes.
It is because the elite in power perpetuate that. Reward mediocrity. Reward corruption. That's the problem.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Miguna, my last question to you is that Raila was sworn in the other day, and the question that most supporters are asking is what happens in terms of exercising his powers? When does he get his infrastructure in place? His, for example, his cabinet and maybe a team of those who will be helping him rule. When does he get these things in place? After being sworn in?
What happens? What happens in what?
Raila has been sworn in as the people's president. What happens after this in terms of exercising his powers? He definitely will need an infrastructure, a team of people will support him, like a cabinet. When does this get in place? When will they get
it depends on what you call power. It depends on what you call power. You see, there are a lot of people who look at power very narrowly and in a very misguided way. They think power is the motorcade. That somebody has big cars and they are in a line with a lot of people with guns, and you have 24 gun salutes. Then you go and live in a state house. Then you fly in big helicopters. They think that is power. That's not what power is. Power ultimately is the support of the people that you govern. So Uhuru can have all that, the trappings. You can have big entourage with big guns. But the power is how many people in Kenya consider Uhuru a legitimate president. That's where power emanates from. Raila's power emanates from the people. How many millions of Kenyans believe that Raila won the election? Number one. More than those who believe Uhuru won. Two, once you have those millions of people, what do you do with that? How do you ensure that whatever you do demonstrates legitimacy and undermines the legitimacy of the person that purports to be in power? So we do a swearing in, and Uhuru is completely rattled. So that gives Raila legitimacy. Tomorrow, we produce Raila's portrait, and people, instead of taking Uhuru's portraits to hang in their homes and businesses, they hang Raila's and they ban Uhuru's. So who do you think has power? Forget about the entourage. I'm talking now symbolism, things that matter. Then the following day, instead of remitting their taxes to the national government, they withhold their taxes. They say they are not paying. Who will suffer? Who will feel the pinch of illegitimacy? Is it Raila Odinga or Uhuru Kenyatta? So he will not be able to govern. He will not be able to pay employees of state. He will not be able to travel in the majority of the counties around Kenya. He cannot attend anything outside the country and speak for the people. So he will be just like Idi Amin or Mobutu Sese Seko or any of these dictators that had big entourage and flew out of the country in pomp, but completely without any foundational support in the country. That's what we have reduced him to be. If you think that is still power, well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miguna Miguna, and thank you for that last insight on issues to do with power, because I believe there's one area that most supporters need to understand. So thank you for the enlightenment, and thank you for this opportunity. I'll hand you back over to Sheila, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kenjo, for those questions. And Dr. Miguna, once again, thank you very much for quite elaborative answers. Our listeners, this is Kdrtv Radio in conjunction with the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora. We're privileged today to have Dr. Miguna Miguna with us here in the house. Dr. Miguna, just building up on Kenjo's question, my question to you is when we look ahead, when we focus, where do you see our country in the next, let's say, 1 year from now?
Well, I personally think that 1 year from now, we would have had another election, hopefully credible. This is the optimistic part of me. And that election would produce a result probably of Raila Odinga in a position of power. And people would feel that their sovereignty and power in terms of the ability to choose freely who their leaders are supposed to be respected. That will bring national cohesion. That will bring patriotism to Kenyans, the majority of them, that believe in one Kenya, and that will be able to move the country forward in the next 1 year. That's what I anticipate. But in between, before that happens, of course, there will be pushing and pulling, and in that process, we will have a crisis, and a crisis can sometimes produce casualties. But that's the nature of human nature. That's the nature of how societies are transformed. That's my positive assessment. Are you there?
Yes, yes, and thank you very much. That is a message of hope. It's a message that tells us, whatever trials we're going through right now as a country, there is hope, and we are heading in the correct direction. Dr. Miguna, what I would like to do now, I would like to just open the floor to you, to invite you to speak to two sets of people in whichever order. The first set of people I would like you to speak to is people in the despot government, and in this I'm also including the DPP and the IG who failed to present you to court as ordered by the judge, and any other person in the despot government. I would like you to just have this platform to address them. And then I would also like you to have the platform to address also the NRM supporters. As we started the interview, I said there are lots of people that see you as their hero and see you as that stone that is needed to build our country. So if you could address these two sets of people in whichever order, the floor is all yours, Dr. Miguna.
I will not spend too much time. Thank you very much, but I will not spend too much time talking anymore, because I think we've been talking for a long time, and there is danger of saturation. All I can say is that I thank you very much for inviting me to be able to speak with you. This is healthy. This is what a democracy should be. We can't agree on everything, and human beings should not be agreeing on everything, because if you agree on everything, it means that some of you are not thinking. We are all individuals with our own brains, with our own feelings, with our own abilities to appreciate reality, which is not exactly the same. So we have to be able to express ourselves differently. As long as we are honest with ourselves, we are genuine, and we understand the material conditions of the country, then there is no problem even if we disagree. As long as we disagree peacefully, as long as we are able to resolve our issues without killing each other, then there is no problem. Two, a time has come for us to turn a leaf completely from what we have had in the last 55 years, which has been the same thing. Illegitimate, incompetent, compromised people, either propelled to positions of leadership through unjust means, or who seized power by force, which is what Uhuru Kenyatta did. He has basically stayed in power because of the way the police and the military are controlled by two communities. And I have to say that because it is the truth. We must bring Kenya to a point where all the communities feel part of Kenya, feel a national pride to make a contribution. And the only way to do that is for men and women of goodwill, people who are committed to leaving Kenya better than they found it, people who are honestly focused on transforming governance so that the constitution will mean something to the majority of the people, so that we can then, once we have sorted out the governance issues, we can then address the issues of bread and butter, the issues of employment and unemployment, the issues of housing, the issues of water, the issues of food security, the issues of environmental degradation, the issues of infrastructure development. These are the issues, the bread and butter issues, will never be addressed until we address the governance issues. So that's why the politics of the day is very, very important. A lot of people, unfortunately, believe that you can have development, the so-called economic development, without political, quote-unquote, development, resolving the political issues. My humble view is that you can. That everything is based really in politics. Our fiscal policies are set by politicians. Our economic policies are set and managed by politicians. The price of unga is determined by legislation and by policies that are put forward by politicians, either in parliament or in the executive arm of government. So there is nothing, even rent, is determined by political policy. There is nothing that will improve in Kenya until we address the leadership and government issues. And right now, the most qualified Kenyans are either not in Kenya or are not in positions of responsibility from which they can make decisions that will improve the conditions of the average citizen. And that must change. To NRM members, to NRM supporters, the struggle has just begun. But victory is obviously nigh. You can see it, you can smell it, you can feel it. We have been able to delegitimize and shake those purveyors of impunity in Nairobi. Jean Chakaga, a German philosopher, wrote a book, Fear and Trembling, which now describes the feeling of those who are in power in Nairobi. They are scared to death, they are trembling like crazy, and yet we have not even begun moving. I want us to march as one huge united force against these despots, and within 2 months, we will be working together, transforming Nairobi, transforming Kenya, so that we can truly say we are all Kenyans. Right now, the majority of people cannot say they are all Kenyans. There are people who think and behave as if they are more special than others. to the extent that they can take somebody who was born and bred and educated in Kenya, like me, and take them to a country such as Canada and say, that's where I'm supposed to be. This we cannot allow.
Thank you very much, Dr. Miguna. Thank you very much for such a candid and elaborative interview today. From us, we are done with the questions, and we do thank you for the time that you have given us today. I am now going to invite our chairman at the Association of Kenyans in the Diaspora, that is Bernard Omweri Kebwatu, to come and give you a vote of thanks as we wrap up this interview. Bernard, if you can hear me, do come online and just give this vote of thanks to Dr. Miguna Miguna for his time today.
Let me take this opportunity to thank everyone who has actually managed to listen to this interview. Dr. Miguna, thanks for availing yourself and talking to Kenyans from several countries, from different continents. They have listened to you. There are lots of messages sent back and forth from Kenyans living throughout the world. And next time when we'll invite you, we'll definitely again give you an opinion or give you a chance to tell Kenyans exactly what you want for Kenya and what you're dreaming Kenya to be tomorrow or today. So viewers who are also watching, thanks for your time. Thanks for your contribution. We've taken into account all your questions. So next time, please avail yourself when we invite you. We are a big association. We are an association of Kenyans. We call it AKD, Association of Kenyans in Diaspora. We bring all Kenyans together. What we are basically championing for Kenya is a good country, a country with justice, a country where every Kenyan feels that is part and parcel of Kenya. Thank you very much. And as Kdrtv has given us also an opportunity for us to speak to Kenyans, at Kdrtv we don't fear anyone. We ask you questions, you give us answers. We are not really aligned to any political affiliation. What we really want or focus is that we want a just Kenya. And whoever is in the ship with us, that is the real person we really want to move ahead with. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. And the interview is officially closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye. Thank you.